I was on active duty in the Navy for 11 years as an officer and a helicopter pilot, all across the Western Pacific, the Arabian Gulf, and the Horn of Africa.
Like many of America's bravest, when Anthony Amodeo decided to leave the armed forces to spend more time at home with his family, the task of landing a career in corporate America was a battle all its own.
I spent a couple months looking around, making phone calls, sending emails, and trying to make those personal connections. Once I was able to do that, I found it much easier to gather momentum and really build progress towards finding a placement.
He found placement in what was for him a very unlikely place.
I had been looking around at different opportunities, trying to network as much as I could with other veterans to find out where opportunities might be. And I met someone at a different job interview who we stayed in touch, and a couple months later, he told me about this opportunity at Bank of America.
That program, called the Global Banking and Market Veterans Associate Program, is now in its third year, and it's what's helped Amodeo land a full-time job at the bank, where he was just promoted to Vice President of Global Transaction Services.
After the end of 10 weeks of rotating around the bank, meeting different people and experiencing different lines of business, I found my full-time position. I was really fortunate to find a great manager who was interested in my military background and saw the opportunities that were present from hiring me rather than the risks of finding someone who was less experienced than maybe other applicants.
The reason that we created this veteran program was because of those intangible skill set that they brought to us, things that I literally can't teach someone out of a top-tier MBA program or undergraduate program. I'm talking about risk evaluation, leadership, focus under pressure, teamwork, things that take literally years. These men and women are bringing to me with 3 or 4 years of experience from the military.
While the cultural and hiring support for military veterans is much different than it has been for past generations, there's still a void for this segment of the population. The veteran unemployment rate for vets aged 18 to 24 stands at 17.1%. That's much higher than the jobless rate among non-military veterans of the same age.
One of the biggest challenges that we find in the military is that we don't like to talk about ourselves. And so getting that vet to tell his or her story in a way that can convey to the hiring manager what they can bring to the team is vitally important. What we find is once we place the veterans on the team, in general, the hiring managers come back to us and say, I'd like 3 or 4 more just like that man or woman.
What started with just 7 people in a pilot program has grown into a necessity for Bank of America. Now it receives more than 1,000 applications for about 30 spots in the program.
It was such a huge help for me that I really want to pay it forward and make myself available to other veterans as they transition.
Thanks in part to the success of its internship program, the firm looks to hire 2,000 veterans before the year is up. In New York, Victoria Craig, FoxBusiness.com.